think if I was invincible and I could be young forever, I'd probably still be trying to jump further distance records with the bike the way it is. But for me, there's one goal left for me, and that's all I'm working on. So I'm not here to replicate nothing, to do shows around the world. I think those days for me are gone. I just want to do my masterpiece, right? That's all I'm working on is my masterpiece, and then I'm done.
My name's Becky Evans, and welcome to Motorfest, the podcast, brought to you by Red Bull and the iconic game from Ubisoft, The Crew Motorfest. Now, this is the podcast where I get to chat with some of the world's finest motorsport athletes, and I get to delve into their passions of all things speed, wings, and wheels. And you know what the cool thing is? You can actually listen to this podcast whilst you're playing the game. So jump into your dream vehicle, sit back and relax, and get ready for the show. Let's go. Now that is the sound of the KTM 450 motorbike that you can actually play in the game. Now this bike has got you covered on road, dirt, sand, and even on water, thanks to the very special Motor Surf edition, which has been designed by the athlete that I am joined by today, Robbie Madison. Robbie, thank you so much for having me here at your home.
No worries, Becky. It's an absolute pleasure, and I'm super excited to have my bike in the game, the Crew Motorfest.
No, delighted. I mean, you are a freestyle motocross champion, legend, like absolute pioneer of the sport. And to actually see this place after seeing so many videos of it, it was kind of crazy when we were driving in.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very blessed. It's been an amazing career, and I've been able to do incredible things. Red Bull has literally given me wings, and it's been amazing, to say the least of it. And this house has become home, and it's the dream that I envisioned. And now I get to ride dirt bikes here. I get to share with my kids, and this is the home base for all these crazy ideas. And then we come back here and refocus, reset, and set off on our ways to take on more adventures.
Now, you started off, in New South Wales in Australia. You were an electrician to begin with, and then you found freestyle motocross. You've done backflips over Tower Bridge in London. You've jumped over, it's the Arc de Triomphe in Las Vegas. I mean, just so many incredible jumps. I remember seeing the video of you doing the ski jump as well. You're a record breaker and a dream chaser. Do you think I've missed anything out there? I mean, there's so many stunts that you've done in your career, but those are the ones that, even as a fan myself, that really jump out.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, there's been a lot. One of the coolest things for me is inventing the motorcycle to ride on the water. Just because I grew up at the beach in Australia, I grew up surfing. If I hadn't been a motorcycle rider, I would have been a surfer. And to be able to combine the two of my two favorite things to do is a dream come true. So it just, one day it just kind of hit me that I could make it right on the water with addition of like some wakeboards under the wheels. And I've seen a lot of people copy it, and it's something that works. And to be able to take it on a wave was just insane. But I'm excited that you get to do it in the game now. The users are going to be able to ride their bikes in Maui and catch waves and feel some of the excitement I felt. So I'm really stoked with Motorfest and the Crew. It's awesome that it's gone this way.
So, Robbie, if you could be a car, a plane, a boat, or a motorbike, which would you be and why?
I would definitely be a plane. I just love flying. It's all I've wanted to do, and I think that's why motorbikes became so cool to me, because I was catching these little moments of being able to fly. And as I've got older, I've jumped further and further and further. And now that I'm a pilot and I'm able to fly, it's just the coolest thing ever. And yeah, if I had the choice, I'd be a plane, because you can go wherever you want to go.
I saw a quote where you were talking about how your mind is it's like Tetris, and you're just trying to put it all together and figure out how to create new crazy stunts. Like, how does one thing become from dream to reality?
I think ultimately it's just figuring out the path of how to get there. For the most part, when I designed the bike to go on the water, the dream was to always ride it on the water. And I had the dream for a long time, and just one day it clicked. And I think it's been like that with a few things, when I jumped on the building in Las Vegas, I knew I didn't want to just keep doing distance jumps. And I knew I wanted to do something that was a cool spectacle. And it wasn't about just having a jump and putting things in between it, like Fonzie did with the shark tanks and like Evil did with the buses. That was cool, but it had already been done. I wanted to do something different. And that's really all I did. I just set my intention. I kind of put out of the universe that I wanted to find something different, and I just stopped thinking about it. I stopped worrying about it. I just had the just the thought that if it's meant to be, it'll come to me. And if it's not, then it's not meant for me. And once I just kind of let go in that way and stop putting pressure on myself to come up with something and just went about being engaged in the moment of my life, then all of a sudden it just hit me again. I was driving past the hotel. I was on the freeway and I just saw the hotel passing by, and I just realized with the speed I had and the right ramp, that I could jump on top of that hotel. And then I had the idea, I'm like, with the right ramp, at the right speed, I could jump onto a big building and I could jump off of it. And so that's how it went. I think a lot of the ideas for me, just come through letting go of the stress of trying to figure it out and just going about living my life and enjoying what I love. And then all of a sudden these new ideas come, and yeah, I mean, that's led me to my current thing that I'm working on. I have a new idea, and it's just come from me doing what I love. And I've been flying airplanes, I've been wingsuiting, I've been skydiving, and yeah, it's inspired me to go in a different direction again. So it's exciting.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, your next frontier, we're talking aerospace. You want to see your bike take to the skies. Walk me through what that looks like.
Well, it's a little early yet. I mean, that is the goal. I mean, I've been in the skies with my bike since I've been a little kid, and just to try and go further and farther is the goal. And ultimately, the last time I did a world record jump, I landed so hard that my front wheel exploded, and I've ruptured my back, from jumping so far. I ruptured 2 discs in my back. So I know that it needs to be aerodynamic, and I've learned that a long time ago. Just finding the right team and finding, like you said before, it's like a Tetris, right? So it's not just about me and the team, but it's about all the other elements. So I'm working on that. I'm not exactly sure what it looks like, but I am very hard at work, and I'm hoping to be able to unearth it here shortly. So there'll be more on that to come when things get a little bit more planned. But for now, it's just in the planes, flying. I just got the new wingsuit, the Freak. So it's the biggest wingsuit that they have, and I haven't flown it yet, so I'm excited to get out in that thing. And you're literally like a bird. It's from when you skydive. You can it's different shapes, kind of control how you fall in the sky, and in a wingsuit, obviously you're in the suit, so if one arm is extended out further on a different angle than the other arm, you'll start to turn a certain way. So you really have to be flying this shape of like an aircraft, like a bird. And it's so insane, because when I was a kid and I ever had like spare change and I'd throw it into the pond or into a fountain, I'd always make a wish. You make a wish in the wishing well. So I'd always wish that I could fly, and it's come true. It's really has. I honestly feel like when I jump out of a hot air balloon in a wingsuit, I'm like literally flying, and it's the coolest thing. You have to face your fears to live your dreams, and one of the biggest fears I had was heights, and just the integrity of the parachute. And I didn't mind free falling, but when I pulled the parachute and I had these strings coming off me holding this canopy up, I just didn't have faith in that. But after I did my accelerated free fall course and I learned how to pack a parachute, I kind of understood the technology of it and I got faith in it. And so now I kind of got over a fear. And to me, that's one of the most liberating things in my life is like, people say they have fears. I think one of the coolest things to do is to face your fears and get past them, understand them and address them and work through it. Because if you just say, I have a fear and I'll never go there, then you're just limiting yourself. So if you're humble and bold enough and courageous enough to, address it and be honest with yourself and go through the uncomfortable part of like dealing with it and getting past it, then you open up a whole new meaning of life and new experiences.
I mean, absolutely, just even looking at your track record of things. I mean, when you are planning a new stunt, I feel like you look at it in a way that it's not just the actual outcome of being able to achieve it. You're looking at the physics and the geometry of it and how you actually achieve it in a physical way.
Yeah, I think for everything I've done, like a lot of people say, who designs these things for you? Who does it? And it's like, it's me. So I think you have to have that, and it's not like all me, but it's like me as far as like I'm driving the bus, and I have someone else navigating for me. The person navigating is usually smarter and more experienced and knows it, but it's my call on where we go, which turns we make, and what it looks like, and what the ultimate the final decisions is usually in my hands.
Of all of the stunts that you've done, I mean, we've got the backflip over Tower Bridge. in Las Vegas, we had the Arc de Triomphe, even the long ski jump. Is there any of them that you particularly think, yeah, that's the one where I really thought, I've done an amazing job here?
I think the jump on and off the Arc de Triomphe in Las Vegas was so like rattling for me as a human. And what it ultimately came to was that this is what I dreamed about doing my entire life. And if I didn't have the courage to follow through with this, then I'm just never going to know what my life could have been, you know? And so I always dreamed of this opportunity to be on a spectacle like Evel Knievel, you know. That's what I really dreamt of as a kid. I wanted to have an opportunity to do world-stopping stunt where the world's watching and be able to push through. And now I had that opportunity. I had to decide whether I was going to let fear stop me, because a lot of the people involved with the production like, this is so crazy, we can't believe you're doing it. And they would like reassure me, there's no one here from our department that's putting pressure on you. If you don't want to do this, we totally get it. You don't have to do this. And I was like, no, I actually have to do this to answer my own question. And so that's what I realized through all my digging, was that this is more of like a question of myself. And now it's time for me to figure out if it's meant to be or not. And I had total faith and total belief that if it's meant to be, it'll be. And if it wasn't, well, then that was just how my life was meant to go. And I had total peace with that, you know. So I was really calm before I did the jump, knowing that, you know, I think the practical side of my head I had to turn off. So the fear side of things, I had to like just stop listening to it, because it was like driving me insane. And I was like sick before, like I literally vomited, thinking about that kind of stuff. So eventually I got to the point where my own psychosis was like making me physically sick. So I had to just turn that off. So that made me that's where the meditating came in, because I had to like turn my mind off. And it was so freeing to like just not have this internal voice anymore, because I had it going on my whole life, and now I don't have it anymore. But it took me a long time to quiet my mind. It's like literally something I have to work at very hard. And then obviously when I landed and it pulled off, I was like, well, this is meant to be. It's made. I think that was a prerequisite for my mentality, because then when I got on the motorcycle in the water, and I'm out at Chopu and the waves are 20-foot faces, and I'm like on a dirt bike in the water, I'm thinking, oh man, this is a stupid idea. And when that wave crashed down in front of me, that was the heaviest moment of my life. And it was 10 times, you know, and even when I jumped the Corinth Canal, you know, the fear of facing to jump the canal was worse than in Vegas. So Vegas was really, and then the jumps before, but everything's been a prerequisite to get me to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. And whatever you do, whatever skill you want to harness, is when you sharpen a knife, you see it get sharper, and so it's nice to have a sharp knife.
It's very impressive. I will say, whenever I'm sat at the start line in my drift car about to compete, I'm like, I know how to do this. I know, you know what you're doing. You know which gears you're going in. And then like just like you said, that little voice like, yeah, but what if you don't downshift at that point? And I'm like, shut up, it's fine. Everything's going to be totally fine. You're famous for pushing boundaries and setting new records. So how are you refining your bikes to help you achieve these?
That's a tough question. Ultimately, I'm working towards my own goals. I think if I was invincible and I could be young forever, I'd probably still be trying to jump further distance records with the bike the way it is. But for me, there's one goal left for me, and that's all I'm working on. So I'm not here to replicate nothing, to do shows around the world. I think those days for me are gone. I just want to do my masterpiece, right? That's all I'm working on, is my masterpiece, and then I'm done. So I'm not really in it for the long haul, but I think manufacturers are doing a great job. The bikes are getting better every year. Obviously, we are on the brink of the electric era, and that's going to change the game for everyone, whether they like it or not. But I think the exciting side of it is the electric side of it brings a lot more power. It's instant, and the characteristics of the bike become a lot different. So we're already seeing like guys like Patrick Evans rides his bike, and when he does a whip, he's able to get on angles that we've never seen before.
Because of the weight, maybe, of the battery, or?
It's because there's less gyro with the engine, so it allows the bike to roll quicker. And then because there's no gearbox, and you're able to hit the throttle, and it does like the full rotation of the back wheel, so that when you start the throttle, you don't have to go through the gears to get the maximum RPM out of the back wheel. So with the twist of the throttle, that back wheel goes from stop to wide open in fifth gear in a few seconds in the electric version. So when you're able to whip the bike upside down, that inertia that the back wheel creates instantly creates that inertia. So you're able to kind of use that to twist you back into shape quickly. So Patrick's been able to learn better than anyone else so far to get his bike upside down and use that electric inertia that he's created from the rear wheel to set him straight again. So that's changing the game, and I think the incorporation of electric bikes is going to just make differences. But for what I've done, distance jumping, jumping on buildings, stuff like that, I don't know, I wanted to raise the bar to a certain height and then step out, and I feel like I've done that for the most part, and there's just one more masterpiece to hang on the wall, and I'm going to follow my kids around and do what they want to do. So that's, but I just hope to be able to be an ambassador and support these other kids coming up. Part of my vision is to be able to support the Robbie Madisons of the future.
Yeah.
And I don't really want it to be my kids, but it seems like they have their own ideas in mind, so I might be supporting them. But I just want to support athletes and help them create these moments that I've been lucky enough to have. The Red Bull's been so great to me, like giving me these platforms to have these show-stopping moments. And so I want to be an advocate for that and try and help people create those scenarios for themselves.
Well, we talked a lot about dreams during our chat. Let's talk about dream vehicles. Now, my dream vehicle is a 66 Chevy Nova with a big block in it. I would love to be able to drive that down Pacific Coastal Highway and just live out my entire American car fantasy. If you ever seen the film Graffiti, that was what I grew up watching when I was a kid. So that's my dream vehicle. So let's imagine that it's your lucky day right now. You've got the choice of any bike that you could ride, and you get to take someone with you. What would you choose? Where would you go? And who would you take?
I'd want the fastest bike.
Talking MotoGP bikes or something?
Yeah. I want the a bike that I rode, but I didn't get to ride it too much. I was just I was Grand Marshal for Evil Knievel's 50th anniversary jump. And I got to ride the Triumph Rocket, and it's a 2,400 and something cc's, biggest engine they make on a motorcycle. I'd like to get that thing wide open. It seems so fast. If I was to be able to dream here for a second, I'd like something like that with an aero kit around it. So I'm not really a big fan of going fast and having the wind smash into your face. I like the wind going around you.
Yeah.
So I really like riding the baggers, because the baggers have the whole big fairing at the front, and you got room to put your stuff in the bags, and you can kind of put supplies and food and drinks and whatever and go for a ride and have wet weather gear and warm gear, whatever it is. But I'd take my wife, obviously, and I'd go to somewhere private, I'd ride to a hot spring or to a waterfall.
Aside from motorbikes and motorcycles, have there been any other memorable vehicles that you've tried and tested?
Yeah, I always loved hydrofoils, I think they call it, like hovercrafts.
Mm-hmm. So they're really cool.
Yeah, I like them. Things that are amphibious just intrigue me, and I think that's why I was so stoked when I made the bike to be amphibious. It was like the coolest thing to be able to ride on the land and then ride onto the water and keep going. It's still a trip to me now, but it was just one of the coolest things I've ever achieved, was to be able to have that realization. So a hovercraft, I just think that they are a badass. The planes that are amphibious, these planes that can land on water, I think that's so cool, to be able to kind of have the skids and touch down and land on the water and go fishing or swimming, and then just cruise off and land back at your airport. I think that's really cool. So I think an older version of me will be doing that one day.
I was going to say, that was my next question. I was like, are we going to see you in some sort of flying boat contraption later on in life?
Yeah, hopefully not too far down the road. Yeah, I'm almost finished with my pilot's license, so I've finished the written and everything. I just have to do the medical. So I have to pass the medical, and then we're good. Work on that part.
So we're going to wind things down with a few rapid-fire questions I ask all of the athletes. I want you to answer the first thing that comes to your mind, okay? Mm-hmm. Extreme cold or extreme heat?
Cold.
Riding by day versus riding by night?
Day.
The last time you received a speeding ticket?
Within the year.
Vague.
Within the year. Don't know what country. Australia.
Do you sometimes talk to your bikes?
Yes. Yeah, profanities.
Sand, tarmac, dirt, gravel, ice. What are your top three and why?
the right dirt, road, and gravel. I think dirt, because the right dirt with the right water is just the best thing there is. When it's like, I ride the hills out here when it's dry, it's not that fun, but when it rains, it's the best time ever. The road, because, it's just always good, especially when, or not always, but it's just a surface that I love. I love road bikes. If I had time again, I would have loved to go down that road. And then the gravel, I think gravel's just fun because you're sliding, it's nice and loose. So I love being able to, drift around on the bikes or cars, whatever it is. So yeah, dirt, gravel, road, bike or car, I'll be happy in either or.
In your honest opinion, between rally, Formula One, and FMX, which is the most intense discipline, the one that brings the craziest sensations?
F1, it's crazy, right? First time in an F1 car, and I went down the straight, and I was like, "There's no way we're getting around this corner." And we went right around it. I was in the two-seater one, so it was insane. So it gave me so much appreciation of the speed, the grip, and that. It's mind blowing, but it's a hard question. I couldn't tell you. I'm just going to go with what I do the most. I'll say freestyle motocross. Just put one mark.
In a nutshell,
yeah. FMX, it's the gnarliest.
As you know, Motorfest, the podcast, is about the different motorsport disciplines that you can find in the new season 6 of the Crew Motorfest, be it off-road, flying, motorbiking or GT. If you, for whatever reason, had to make a career change, which of these disciplines would you choose?
I'd go flying.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, you're destined to be in the air.
Yeah, I really love it. That or rally, I love rally. I loved every time that I did rally. I felt I was good at it, but it's an expensive game. So it's couldn't make it work when I did have a shot at it, but I could drive the car at the right speed, but it's just when you crash those things.
Oh yeah.
It's expensive.
It's not like a game where you just go, boop, restart.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to explore some more.
All right, guys, that's it for today's episode of Motorfest, the podcast. Make sure you check us out on all streaming platforms. You can also see us on YouTube. Just type in my name, Becky Evans. You can also listen to this podcast whilst you're playing the game, The Crew Motorfest. Make sure you join us for all future episodes. And I'll see you guys super duper soon. Bye. Time.
that winning attitude, driver.
See us on YouTube, just type in my name, Becky Evans. You can also listen to this podcast whilst you're playing the game, The Crew Motorfest. Make sure you join us for all future episodes, and I will see you guys super duper soon. Bye.